So the most crazy story I've ever heard about a pro footballer with their football boots has to be the story of... What's up guys, Matt from the Football Boots team, and today we're going to be looking at the differences between a worn pair of football boots and a brand new pair of football boots, and does it have any effects on fit, feel and performance when the old boots get so old that you need a new pair, and also is buying a second-hand pair of boots a good idea? Let's find out in today's video. So we wanted to make today's video as realistic as possible. So the two pairs of boots that we're going to be comparing are my own Nike Hypervenom finish that I wore all last season, and also a brand new pair that we delivered today of the same finish in that Spark Brilliance colorway. So let's find out the differences. So without doubt, the first biggest difference between the worn and brand new pair of football boots, and you guys are going to be able to tell straight away, is how the boots actually look. Now I've got the worn pair in my right hand, as you can tell, and the new pair in my left. Now looking at the worn pair first of all, that Volt colorway has become a little bit darker because I do play a lot on 3G surfaces, and also around that toe box region we can see that there's a lot of abrasion going on, and that Nike skin has actually started to come away, and you can see the actual inner part of the upper itself, which is very soft, and it's also a little bit cottony. Now bringing in the brand new pair, and as you can imagine, these are very poppy in that Volt colorway, and also there's no abrasion of course, but obviously that's the first real difference. But what's the difference in terms of how they actually fit and feel? So it's now time to put on the boots to see if there's any differences in feel. Now I'm going to go for the worn pair first on my left foot, and as you can imagine, yeah, they're really easy to slide on. I've done it so many times, and now this is the first time I'm ever going to slide on the brand new pair, and they are just a little bit stiffer and tighter all round. Now the first big difference is that I get a little bit of spacing across the middle side of the boot and also around the toe, just where it's stretched from striking the ball so many times and also making twists and turns. So there's definitely a little bit of spacing and also rollover. Now on the new pair of the finish, it just gives me a much more wrapped sensation from the heel all the way around the side panels and also around the toe. So it's just a bit more of a tighter fit. Now the finish has got one of the softest uppers on the market, but this worn pair do feel much more soft compared to the new pair. But saying that, after several sessions, this new pair are going to feel exactly the same as this worn pair, really nice and soft. So I've got the boots laced up on my feet, the worn pair and then the new pair, and as always the very first thing I do with any new pair of football boots is do some keepy-uppy. So that's what I'm going to do now, and also talk through if there's any differences whilst I'm doing it in terms of fit and feel. To be fair, so far I can't tell any differences whatsoever. I think I'd be lying to say that the worn pair feel a little bit more soft. I don't think that's the case, and to be fair, I think that the new pair, because they are just a little bit more tight, I get a little bit more pop. There is definitely some spacing in that worn pair, so in terms of how the ball actually pops off the foot, I feel like the brand new pair just give me a little bit more, so it's much more of a barefoot sensation. So let's start to talk about the actual physical differences between the worn pair and the brand new pair of football boots. Now something to bear in mind is that this worn pair of finish have been used for about 60 training sessions and also for 30 matches. So these are fully broken in, fully worn, and also right at the end of their lifespan, and that's the reason that I got the brand new pair. Now the first biggest difference is that on the worn pair, the upper is so soft. It's almost so soft that it's starting to lose its structure and shape, so you'll definitely need to put those little inserts in there just to keep their shape a little bit better, because they're starting to collapse. And looking at that new pair, the shape and structure is still pretty stiff. Now right now the most comfortable pair of boots out of the two will be the worn pair, but these are right at the end of their lifespan, so this is where I need to now wear the brand new pair in training. So once these are all done, I can now wear the brand new pair in my matches, but after about several hours of use in training. So we've just done our keepy-uppies, and it was only the tiniest amount of difference. So what we do now is just up the level a little bit, clip them into the goal with the new and worn boots, and after that we'll strike some at goal with a little bit more power to see if there is any differences between the two. So let's go with my right foot, which is the new pair of boots first. And now I'll go with the left foot, which is the worn pair of boots. And to be fair, there wasn't the most amount of difference. I just feel like the new pair of boots are a little bit more tighter, which just gives me a little bit more responsiveness feeling. But let's go closer to the goal, the edge of the box, to strike some with power. So I'm still not convinced there's a massive difference between the new pair and the worn pair. So So I'm going to strike some at goal now to see if there is any differences when we're shooting from close range. So I've just had my 2 rounds of shooting and it was actually quite interesting. I couldn't tell much difference with the boot I was striking with. They both felt the same, new or worn. I couldn't tell that much difference. But one difference that I could tell was the planting foot. When it was the worn pair, I just got a little bit of rollover and movement, which isn't the best thing. Now, when I had the new pair on my planting foot, I just felt a little bit more secure and also strapped in. When I planted it down, I felt a little bit more stable. So there is a little difference in that regard. So one factor which surprised me quite a lot is that there isn't much difference between the sole plates. Now looking at the brand new pair first, these are pretty flexible straight out of the box, but what I expected is that the worn pair, because I've worn them so much, I thought the sole plate would be much more flexible, but that's not the case whatsoever. Now I think the reason for this is Nike actually make their sole plate so nice and flexible around the toe box, straight out of the box, that they don't become that much more flexible, because that would obviously affect performance in a negative way in terms of responsiveness. Now what you'll usually find is that pro footballers will wear their match boots for about 5 games before putting them aside and then bringing in the ones they've broken in training again for about 5 games. But there are definitely some exemptions, so let's find out which pro footballers do something a little bit different. So the most crazy story I've ever heard about a pro footballer with their football boots has to be the story of John Terry. Now he doesn't just wear 1 pair of brand new boots per game, which is still extreme. He wears 3 pairs of brand new boots per game. Now let's explain a little bit more why. Now he wears 1 for the warm-up, 1 for the first half, and then 1 for the second half, so 3 in total, which is just so mad. What he says is that he doesn't like them when the boots become stretched whatsoever. He likes them being fresh, straight out of the box, so he gets a very bare foot and tight touch on the ball, which is very extreme. But let us know what you think about that in the comment section below. Is 3 pairs of boots too much? Let us know in the comment section below. So we've already spoken about how John Terry likes to wear 3 pairs of boots per game, but what about some other players who prefer to wear their boots for a longer period of time? Now these are the worn pair of football boots, and this is probably what you're going to see the likes of Gareth Bale and also Tony Cruz wearing. Now Tony Cruz wears those old school Adipures, and Gareth Bale also wears a camouflage pair of X boots. Now they like to wear their own pairs of boots for a longer amount of time, especially compared to John Terry. They might wear their boots for more like 15 to 20 games. They, like me, prefer the feeling of the boots being properly broken in before actually changing. So there are definitely some pros out there who prefer to wear their boots for a longer period of time rather than just getting a new pair and going straight into them. So we've just seen that there isn't a great deal of difference of sole plate flexibility of the new and worn football boots. But if you want to see how much difference a sole plate can make, let's have a look at the original Predators, released over 20 years ago, and I'm trying my absolute hardest to try and flex these, and there is 0 flexibility whatsoever. These are not budging 1%. And it just goes to show how far football boots have come in terms of being ready to be worn straight away. So another interesting boot story has to be the one of CR7, Cristiano Ronaldo. Now he receives a lot of brand new pairs of boots from Nike, especially his own signature ranges, which he pretty much has to wear straight away because of branding and marketing purposes. But what that actually means is they're going to be so stiff to play in because they're pretty much fresh out the box and he doesn't have any time to break them in properly. So what he does is the hot water trick. Now that is actually pretty controversial because what it pretty much does is heats up the glue which joins the sole plate to the upper, so it reduces the lifespan and durability of the football boots. But that is definitely something that he prefers to do. So when he wears them for his matches, they're actually a little bit broken in, although being pretty much straight out of the box. So a different option that you guys at home have is you can buy second-hand football boots from somewhere like eBay, but it can come with 2 main concerns. Firstly, they might be too broken in, like these Preds. If these came through the door, you'll be a little bit disappointed because these are actually really worn. And secondly, they might be broken into someone else's foot shape. So imagine if Blake wore his boots and then I went to wear them, they'd just be too stretched out in the midfoot for my own normal to narrow feet. So just bear that in mind if you do want second-hand football boots, which can be a good option. Just make sure that firstly they're not too worn, and secondly they're not too stretched out. So for any of you guys out there wondering how worn is too worn, obviously we've got a brand new pair of football boots. They're perfect, ready to go. These are about 12 months old, so we just said they've got about 100 uses. This is when you want to start looking at getting a brand new pair of boots. Once the upper starts to go ever so slightly, these are on their last legs. But do not let your boots get into this state where the Nike Skin upper or any kind of upper going on starts to rip away from the boot. This is a big no-no, and also there's going to be some serious sole separation once they get so old. So don't let your boots get into this state. Once they get to this state, this is when you want to start looking at the new pair. So guys, there it is. Worn versus new. Is there a massive difference between the two? Well, not really. So the two things that you can take away from this video is that you can keep wearing your worn ones until they get to a certain state, and then you can buy the new pair to wear in your training, ready for your match days. But that pretty much wraps up the video. Remember to smash that like button, and also let us know what you think about worn versus new boots in the comment section below. Thanks for watching, guys. Cheers.